Welcome to the Mobile Technology Lab webinar that can help you keep your mobile tech lab running in tip-top shape. I'm Marlene Verberge from Kansas State University. These MTLs were purchased for OMK states through KSU's 4-H Army Military Partnership Project. With the end of funding for OMK, the labs are being transferred to National Guard and Reserve Child and Youth programs to continue support for youth programming for geographically dispersed military-connected youth. This webinar will provide the information you need to maintain your MTL and keep it up to date. Joining me on this webinar are Jim Dietrich from the University of Minnesota and Carrie Roos from Washington State University. Jim has been instrumental in developing and providing curriculum resources for the MTL, and Carrie has been the national coordinator for keeping the labs functional and up to date. And I thank both of them for their participation in this webinar. And I'll turn it over to Jim.
Thank you, Marlene. And thank you for those that are viewing this webinar. And we'll just talk a little bit here, but it's an introduction, and then we'll get started with Carrie and some of the meat of the time. Just wanted to put into context a little bit the Mobile Technology Labs. They were one of the 4 core elements of the Operation Military Kids program for many years, and have still remained viable and usable throughout in many of the programmings that are done with and for military-connected children and youth. The other core elements that went with complemented the mobile technology resource were Ready, Set, Go trainings. You may remember those, as well as the Hero Packs that were presented to children of deploying service members, and the Speak Out for Military Kids initiative, which also utilized the mobile technology labs as those SOMK youth developed their speaking presentations to communities, to their peers, to tell their story of being from a military-connected family. The Mobile Technology Labs fit the bill as we were doing programming specifically with those military-connected youth and families that don't live close to a military installation. So the Mobile Technology Labs provided the opportunity to bring the technology resource to them where they lived, where they were having their support groups and support meetings to help them develop the communication skills with the technologies, as well as to create things that they could share with their deployed service members. Today, in this video, we really want to introduce you to the elements of the Mobile Technology Labs, what's in the labs. We want to go over a little bit about how to keep them up to date, how to keep them running, as Marlene said, in tip-top shape, as you become the caretakers of this resource. Carrie will also provide some tips on updating the laptops. We have several different models there you see. And then a couple pieces of software, the Deep Freeze program, which became an important resource as we were working with the programming with the military youth and families to keep the projects and things that they were working a little more secure, as well as to keep those laptops secure, the antivirus software, and Windows updating the Windows program, the operating system of the laptops. So Carrie, let's get started and get into some of the nitty-gritty.
Okay, so a little bit of an introduction to the actual MTLs. They include 6 Pelican cases. 2 of the Pelican cases have printers, and then there are 4 4 Pelican cases that have 3 and 2 computers for a total of 10 split amongst the 4 Pelican cases. For convenience, each MTL is split into what we call 2 pods. And so a pod would consist of case 1, which would be the printer, and then case 2, which would have 2 computers, and a case 3 that would have 3 computers, and any other items such as the cameras and so forth. The pods 1 and 2 are identical. So some of the original equipment is the inkjet printer. There may or may not be color ink in the Pelican cases, because those probably have been used up. Maybe 1 surge protector and 5 USB headsets. And then, of course, the 2 laptop computer cases have storage for other items such as 25 DVDs and CDs, which may or may not be there. And then it has a digital camera and a camcorder, and memory cards for those items. There will also be an Aegis 165 gigabyte portable hard drive as well. So, and there may be some extension cords in there. So the MTL laptops are Dell Latitudes that are the E6410, E6420, and E6430 models. They are Windows 7 operating system and have are 64-bit computers with 4 gigabytes of RAM. They have webcam, Bluetooth, MS Office suite installed on them, as well as other software. When the MTL was shipped, hopefully there was a spreadsheet included with the equipment with the serial numbers. So you need to verify if there is that in the case. Would be in one of those cases, and if it isn't there, you can email Heather Dolan Shantz at the following email on the screen, and she will be able to send that to you. Before the MTL can be used in public, there will be many updates to the computers that you'll want to be done, such as Windows updates and virus updates for the database that you'll need to do. And before you can do that, you need to understand Phoronix Deep Freeze, which is installed on each of the computers. So I'm going to do a little bit of a lesson on understanding what Deep Freeze is for you. So Deep Freeze has a purpose and use of creating your computer every time you restart the computer. It will be the same every time you restart it. So there are ramifications to that, and I'll get into that in the next slide. So basically what Deep Freeze does is it freezes any changes that are made to the computer. This includes documents that you may have created or updates, etc. So this provides security for the computer and your hard drive so that it will reboot every time the same as you had it before. So it memorizes your computer settings and configuration, and returning the system to its original state with every restart. Recovering the full system as easy as restarting the computer. So if you have problems, or if somebody changes a screen setting, as soon as you reboot it, that change is going to be erased, and it'll be just like it was before. It also creates a thaw space where documents can be saved. So a couple deep freeze enterprise terms that you need to know is, number one is the frozen state. In the frozen state, the hard drive is frozen so that you cannot put any data on the hard drive except in the thawed space. And thawed state is a state that you can put the computer in where the hard drive is thawed, and that allows you to do updates and save data to another place on the hard drive or make changes to the computer. And then the thaw space is a created partition or space that can be used to store and retain programs even after a restart. And even if it is frozen, you can save it in the thaw space. And I believe the thaw space is about 2 gigabytes of space. So how to work with deep freeze. You access deep freeze and to thaw it on the hard drive by using the MTL log admin login, which is on the spreadsheet. So that's another reason why you need to get that spreadsheet. And to get access to the deep freeze, what you would do is go to the bottom right in the hidden icons, which is an arrowhead item like this, only on the computer it's actually white. And you would click on that, and in that hidden icon area, there is a icon that's real similar to this. Well, it is this polar bear that you see on the graphic on the right. And oops, where am I? So you would get this polar bear logo, and to get the login screen, you press Shift and double click on the icon in the hidden icons, and that brings up the enter the password, which is the MTL admin password. And then you would click OK, and you would come up, and actually you would come up to a different screen. But one thing I do want to mention is how you tell whether it's in a thawed state or a frozen state. On the polar bear icon, if there is a small red X in the bottom right corner of that icon, then that means that the hard drive is thawed. If there is no red X, this means that the hard drive is frozen. So that's how you can tell what state the computer is in. So once you're into and you've logged into the deep freeze, then you can do a couple things. The first thing is I want to point out is the status on next boot. Should probably say boot frozen or boot thawed, but you have several choices. So you can click on boot thawed on next, and you can specify whether you want it to be the next 1 or 2 or 3 times. The default is, I believe, 1. Usually when you're doing updates, you'll want to do it probably 3 or 4 times so that you can boot on and off. Or you can boot it as thawed, which means that it boots thawed, and then won't be changed back until you come back into the deep freeze standard screen and change it to boot frozen and then apply and reboot. Then you'd be off and running and have a frozen hard drive. When I do updates, I usually would rather boot it thawed and not do it on boot thawed on next, because it may take several times of turning the computer on and off and rebooting. So I would suggest that you probably want to do it boot thawed until you get used to the updating the computers. So each time the MTL user and MTL admin logs into the laptops, files that were saved during the previous session are deleted, or updates that were previously installed are undone. So if this happens to you, then you should realize that the deep freeze program is in a frozen state, and then you won't be able to update your computers. If files are deleted from the previous session, for example, if you saved a file onto the desktop and rebooted the computer, and the file is gone from the desktop, then the hard drive is frozen. That's some tips that I can give you. So one thing, again, you can do is save files in the thaw space drive, and that's probably the easiest, and it will show up on your Windows Explorer as a drive, a separate drive. It'll be called thaw space, and so it should be easy to find. Then the last thing, if updates are not updating, the drive is in a frozen state. So you need to thaw the hard drive, restart, and run the updates and return it to a frozen state. Even as I've been doing these laptops for several years, every once in a while I forget about the deep freeze and would find that nothing is updating, and I would have to check the deep freeze. So it can happen, and so just be aware that those are some of the things that you can check for. So working with the antivirus software, the software that we use on the laptops is the Microsoft Security Essentials. So if you were updating the database for the Security Essentials, the first thing you need to do is ensure that the hard drive is in a thawed state. And once you've ensured that and it's rebooted and it's thawed, then you can go to your antivirus program, which is in the hidden icons, and open the Security Essentials and ask it to update the database for antivirus files. So the working with the Windows update is much the same, and you want to ensure that the hard drive is thawed, and Windows updates should probably be done every other time the MTL is used, once a month certainly. Avoid waiting over a month or more, because sometimes depending on the number of updates from Microsoft, it could take several hours to update a computer. And the way you access the Windows updates is on a thawed computer, go to the control panel, and you do that by going to Start menu and then select control panel, and Windows Update. So I'm going to turn it back to Jim, and he's going to give you some other resources.
Carrie's gone through a lot of information very quickly for you, but one of the resources that one of the state OMK programs put together is Indiana. They created a mobile tech lab manual. Some of the equipment that you've received may look a little different than the equipment that's here. I don't know that all the pictures have been updated since the mobile tech labs were updated, but the essentials are there about how to set up a lab in a room and what some of those pieces of equipment are, as well as what you might find important at the end of the manual are some examples of programs that you can do with military connected youth with the mobile tech lab. Not really full-blown lesson plans, but really some nice concrete ideas that you can utilize. So follow the link on the page and you can pull that up, on the Indiana Mobile Tech Lab Manual. Other resources that we have on the 4-H Military Partnerships webpage. The first link that you see on this list is to the whole list of curriculum resources, those that utilize the Mobile Tech Lab and those that don't. But we'll give you a whole variety of resources that you might choose to use with military connected youth and some with their families. A couple, the last three do specifically have some activities in those curriculums that utilize the resources of the mobile tech labs, most likely the laptop computers. The Experience OMK curriculum, the OMK Deployment Cycle Support Yellow Ribbon Youth Outreach curriculum, and then the Tech Discovery curriculum. You may be most familiar because it's the most current with the Tech Discovery curriculum that is based more out of an iPad delivery format, but several of those lessons in that curriculum as well do utilize the laptops and other equipment from the Mobile Technology Lab, so there is a connection there as well. Many of those experiences I said there's a variety of experiences in those curriculums, some that utilize the mobile tech labs, some that use iPads, and some that don't use any of that equipment at all. So there's a variety of activities and support there. Again, that's all on the 4-H Military Partnerships.org website. It's a great resource for you to check out. Marlene, I think that's about it for this session. Why don't you close us up for us?
Thank you very much for taking the time to view this webinar. It's really not an easy task to maintain and keep this equipment up to date. It does take someone dedicated to it, but the time involved in doing so will certainly make your MTL programming run smoothly for the youth and families who will use it. So we wish you the best as you move forward in using the MTL programs, the MTL in your programs. So thank you very much.